that again. It tells us the sun will be turned to darkness, the moon to blood before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Lord. That's the return of the Messiah. Now,
Right.
the good news that follows, everyone who calls upon the name of the Lord shall be saved.
Amen.
And then Peter preaches this. It preaches
Oh, yeah.
beautifully in the temple.
Oh, yeah.
3,000 get saved, but they were at the right place at the right time.
Right.
What does all this mean? We have the facts laid out.
Sure.
Are these blood moons the blood moons of Joel?
Well, here's how I like to explain that. First off, I want everyone to know I'm not setting dates. I do not control an eclipse, okay? I do not control the biblical calendar. What I'm trying to say is God said he created the sun and the moon as signals on his feast days. I think everyone believes we're living in the last days. Think of these 4 red blood moons as a warning signal, like street lights that are flashing red. That means warning. Okay? Nothing's going to necessarily happen if you heed the warning, but there's a warning something could happen. Do you know, when you read Joel, in the very context of these 4 blood moons, where the moon turns blood red, in that same context as Joel, God gives a warning that he is going to come against every nation that tries to divide his land.
Wow. Absolutely right.
And what do we see? This year and next year, the whole focus is dividing the land of Israel. And so I see these as 4 big warnings to Israel. You better not divide my land or judgment is coming. The solar eclipses are warning to the nations. You better not divide my land or judgment is coming. And God will deal in measure for measure. Well, here's the other thing. The other thing is I like the science. I like the math. I like sticking with the facts. And what did we see in 48? A biblically prophetic war involving Israel. What did we see in 67? A biblically prophetic war involving Israel. There are several biblically prophetic wars that haven't taken place yet. Okay, so I think this also could mean a biblically prophetic war involving Israel. Then also, when you look at the economy, the Shemitah year, every 7th year, if you remember, you used to be able to declare bankruptcy.
I want everybody to pay close attention because we're hearing some real nuggets. A warning not to divide the land, a warning that war is imminent in the Middle East, and we all know that. We're all watching Iran, we're all watching Hezbollah. I mean, I see this all connecting here. And now financial. So I just don't want anybody to miss these nuggets.
Sure.
So financial.
Okay, well, what do we know? The Shemitah year, every 7th year, was when all the debts were to be released. It was an economic reset. Do you know, in 1994, do you remember when the comet Shoemaker-Levy hit Jupiter with 21 fragments? 1994 was a Shemitah year. Guess when the weekend was that these fragments hit Jupiter?
I never thought about it, so I am now.
It was the 9th of Av, a time of judgment. The Torah portion that day was Devarim, Deuteronomy.
I don't think many people understand what the 9th of Av is. This is not only the destruction of the temple, but keeps reappearing throughout history. Spanish Inquisition,
Yes.
9th of Av.
Well,
Crystal 9th of Av.
who is not familiar with the 9th of Av, real quickly, so I can just, okay, let me explain. Think of the 9th of Av like the 9th of August, roughly when it appears. Remember when the 10 spies brought the bad report, Joshua and Caleb brought the good report? That happened on the 9th day of the month of Av. So that day became cursed throughout Jewish history. The Jewish temple in 587 BC was destroyed on the 9th of Av. 700 years later in 70 AD, when Rome destroyed the temple, same day, the 9th of Av. In 1290, all the Jews were kicked out of England on the 9th of Av. 1492, the Jews were kicked out of Spain on the 9th of Av. World War I started on the 9th of Av. Hitler's proclamation to kill the Jews was on the 9th of Av. And they rejected the land again in 2005 when they left the Gaza Strip. It happened at sunset of the 9th of Av.
Oh my gosh.
And so this is incredible. So here you see these 21 fragments hitting, and the Torah portion was Devarim, or Deuteronomy, which includes the Shema, hear and obey. And Devarim means these are the words. In other words, God was speaking, I believe, that weekend, that with 21 fragments, the next 3 Shemitah years would be times of economic judgment. In 2001, it was on a Shemitah year. On Elul 29, Rosh Hashanah, is the first time the Dow fell 7%, the largest economic drop at that time. Exactly 7 years later, 2008, on Elul 29, Rosh Hashanah, on the biblical calendar, we don't see it on ours, The Dow fell 7%. It was a $777 billion loss on a $700 billion failed bailout on the first day of the 7th month on the biblical calendar in the 7th year.
I just want everybody to understand, we're just dealing with facts here. We're not
Yes.
saying this means that, and this will dogmatically happen. But folks, these are facts. And one other fact is we're out of time. And we could go on and on. I'm so glad that you get to pick up this topic.